Welcome back to the Pearl Report. Young people in Hong Kong started waking up to politics after the mass protest march in 2003. Now, they are a growing and concerned force.
I appeal to all quarters of the community, particularly political leaders and legislative council members, to take into full account that if we do not seize the opportunity, constitutional development in Hong Kong will have to suffer from an impasse again, and to seriously consider what possible implications this may bring about to the political, social, and economic stability of Hong Kong.
Shortly after Carrie Lam spoke in December, the Hong Kong Transition Project, led by Michael de Gollier at Baptist University, asked about 1,000 people.
How fairly do you think Chief Secretary Carrie Lam will conduct a constitutional reform consultation process?
What's troubling about this finding is that at the very start of the consultation, about 2/3 of people doubt whether or not the process is fair. And this is before we've even gotten to the outcome.
Just 1/3 said they thought the reform exercise would be at least somewhat fair.
Just a huge proportion of people who said their students are uneasy about this, think it's unfair, and say also that they support Occupy Central.
The Occupy movement threatens to tie up streets if the electoral reform package includes a way to screen out potential CE candidates.
Occupy Central is exactly about reaction, how you would react. What would you do if? And our research findings show that if Beijing overtly intervenes too strongly, then it really dramatically shifts a lot of people towards supporting Occupy Central. That if the pan-Democrats split and the radical Democrats are the only ones who support Occupy Central, then support drops off a lot.
The Democratic Party came out in force to support Occupy Central at a function in Statue Square last week, but some radical elements shouted it down, castigating the party for supporting the government's 2010 reform package.
If people try to pressurize us, to intimidate us, well, I tell you, they have failed. The Democratic Party and me, Emily Lau, will not be bulldozed into silence.
De Gollier says radical elements on both the pro-democracy and pro-government sides want to see blood spilled in Occupy Central.
We do have radicals on both sides, which the majority reject, but which nevertheless are pretty sizable groups that are very, very polarized and very, very polarizing and really quite vocal and really quite determined, I think in many ways, probably to confront each other, to have it out.
Robert Chow is one of the founders of a group that calls itself the Silent Majority. It opposes Occupy Central.
Let's not go to threats like, if you don't do this, we will occupy Central, we will turn Hong Kong into Bangkok, and let's see, we will bring chaos to Hong Kong. That is not the way to go about things.
Did those people say that they would turn Hong Kong into Bangkok? I'm not sure I've heard that.
No, they're not saying it. But the undertone is basically that.
On political reform, Chow says there is bound to be a screening process for the chief executive.
Are you okay with people standing for election without being screened out?
I think at the end of the day, there will have to be a screening process. No election system in this world does not have some sort of a screening process.
Among all age groups in the Baptist University survey, students were the most concerned about the potential for violence and economic disruption due to Occupy Central. At the same time, students and educated adults showed the most support for the movement.
We've been asking questions about worry of Hong Kong people since 1991. Never are students more worried about anything. They're not usually worried about a social issue or a political issue, for heaven's sake. But this time they are. They're the most worried group of all. They're worried about how they think their fellow students are going to react.
I hope there is no any violence that will affect the peace in Hong Kong and the economics in Hong Kong.
Timothy is a Form 4 student at the all-boys Kwun Tong Maryknoll College. At this point, he has no interest in politics.
Me and my classmates and the whole form are focused on the academic performance.
Michael is a year older and says attitudes are much different among his classmates.
Most of the Form 5 students believe that the politics is that's related to our daily life. That's without politics we can't do anything. Even the economic developments and some social development based on the political development and the reforms. I start concerned about the political matters in 2012, the national and moral education.
There were mass protests against the mandatory introduction of national education in schools.
Before this event, actually, I'm same as the Timothy that I don't think the politics is related to our life. But in this event, I know that the government's policy may affect our daily life.
I think the job should be left for them, and I'll just keep on studying.
It is quite obvious that the central government is kind of stepping into our politics.
Caesar and Charlie are Form 6 students at the same school.
I'm genuinely worried about the current situation of Hong Kong. As you can see, there are quite a lot of arguments on the doings of the government.
These two will be eligible to vote in the 2017 CE election.
Mainland government have said that the candidate must love their country, and I think this is an important criteria whether the central government will accept a candidate.
The Hong Kong government and the PRC government are not quite willing to elaborate further on the criteria. I think that is what Hong Kong people want to hear.
This is about the future of Hong Kong, and whether Hong Kong will become a better place depends on whether we can nominate the candidates on our own.
The student activist group Scholarism is lobbying lawmakers and political parties to join a 5-district referendum to ask the electorate whether it supports direct nomination of CE candidates without screening by a nominating committee. It says a referendum on electoral methods was part of an early draft of the basic law that was later dropped.
We want to get back what we have in the history, in the basic law, that we can have a referendum to decide our own future.
Agnes is a Form 6 student. If there's no progress on political reform and pressure build, she says she's not worried about an outbreak of violence.
Because I believe that Hong Kong people can control themselves to use the most suitable way to fight for the political system that we want. I think civil disobedience with non-violence is really a good way for fighting for democracy and freedom.
This young generation, they have been educated about civil rights, about public participation in their school. And now they believe that they need ownership in these communities. If they found that the government is not elected by them, then why should I accept this government as being legitimate?
Chan Kin Man is an Occupy Central organizer. He teaches democracy at Chinese University. Many of the students here are only auditing this course. This one is studying to be an accountant.
I'm only walk in here because I feel interest about the democracy future in Hong Kong, because as a next generation, we want to know more it. To me, I don't like democracy very much. I'm afraid that if Hong Kong have the democracy too much here, maybe the welfare policy may increase so many.
We found mainland students studying here were particularly interested in learning about democracy.
Everybody's thinking about what will happen for the next election, and there are a lot of discussion about it in society. And before I can join any of the discussion, I want to make sure my knowledge about democracy is enough for me to start any conversation.
Actually, I have taken this course like previously, and I'm just sitting in auditing. Hong Kong is a society with like all the prerequisite for democracy. It has rule of law and very efficient government system, civil society, political parties, well-educated people. So I just really can't see why Hong Kong cannot be a democracy.
Chan Kin Man didn't want to say too much about specific proposals for this round of political reform in Hong Kong.
Because I'm one of the leaders of the Occupy Central campaign, and we refuse to make very concrete comment on any proposal at this moment, because we need to go through some procedure in order to form our own stand concerning the reform proposal.
He says, though, that there is a principle.
That no single political force can set a hurdle to control the whole nominating process.
The less often heard voice in youth politics is from the pro-establishment camp.
We know that sometimes most of us, I mean the pro-government side, maybe sometimes we won't want to stand in front of the public.
Cyril Deng is a 23-year-old with a small business. He joined the Young DAB in 2010. He was a summer intern. Now he's vice president. Cyril got interested in politics at about the time radical Democrats started getting attention in the media.
I don't agree with their actions and their positions, because I think even something we want to fight for our aims, we also need to comply with our law, which is maybe our city's core value.
Prospect of more radical behavior, though, hangs over this round of negotiations.
If this reform fails, I believe that there is a trend of radicalization. Young people will not wait anymore.
Well, thank you for watching our show. It will be re-aired on Tuesday and Saturday, as well as on tvb.com. Until next time, from the Pearl Report team, good night, good luck, and good health.